What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, and as y'all know, it's Saturday, so we got some more Piers Morgan debates coming in for you guys. We got Cenk Uygur coming in, we got Dan Crenshaw, we got Vinny from the Patrick Bet David podcast, the PBD. So it's going down in this one, y'all. It's going down. This is going to be a pretty good debate, and I think you guys are going to enjoy it. Right quick, let me get this out of the way. If you guys are new around here and you like staying up to date and staying informed with everything that's going on in politics, and you like to understand how the corporate press and the mainstream news are manipulating you guys, so stick around, smash that subscribe button for me, and if you could, do me a big favor and smash that like button. It really, really helps y'all. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into this debate because it's going to be great.
Built the biggest, the broadest, the most unified coalition. They've never seen anything like it in all of American history. They've never seen it. Young and old, men and women, rural and urban. They came from all corners, union, non-union, African American, Hispanic American, Asian American, Arab American, Muslim American, a historic realignment, uniting citizens of all backgrounds around a common core of common sense. You know, we're the party of common sense.
Dan, I thought that was a really good phrase, that, the core of common sense, and the realignment, where he cited all these different ethnic groups in America who come together to basically sign up to Trump's worldview. And I do think, and liberals have not wanted to concede this point, but I've begun to detect a change in mood today, that when they try to downplay things like, for example, transgender athletes in women's sport and the very damaging impact that is having, I really think they underestimated how the majority of Americans feel about that kind of thing. That they just see it as completely unfair and an erosion of women's rights. And it's coming from a party, because Kamala Harris and Joe Biden both supported it, comes from a party who tries to portray themselves as the only party that cares about women's rights. So I think this core of common sense message that Trump had was really significant in why he won. But also, he's got a chance, and he talked in quite a unified way last night, he's got a chance to try and bring the country together. Do you think he'll take that chance?
That's a great question. There's a lot to unpack. There was a lot said in the last few minutes, and I didn't get to hit any of it. And I actually think this conversation, first of all, about left-wing populism and right-wing populism and what populism even means, I think is really interesting. I hope we keep hitting on that. It was said before, he's a fake populist. Well, I hope so, because populism is crap. I mean, populism is the art of telling you what you want to hear instead of the truth. That is populism. Yeah, I mean, of course. Dan
is the least happy in this
populism
panel.
is all the time. The least what?
Dan is establishment. Dan is establishment Republican. He hates the Trump.
Whatever that means. Whatever.
So he wanted to start more wars. So he's the least happy on this entire panel.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
I'm feeling. It's funny because I'm feeling pretty happy right now because.
Cenk, no one can be more unhappy than you, surely. Come on.
Yeah, and like I've never started any wars. I'm actually the only one here who actually bothers fighting in them. So don't talk to me about war. And look, populism is just lying. Populism is just lying. Liberals.
Okay, so I know most of you guys out there that watch these debates constantly, y'all are probably going to think I'm going to disagree with Cenk Uygur right here, but no. I totally agree with Cenk Uygur. I agree with Cenk Uygur a lot. I don't like his debate style a lot of times, and he makes these boneheaded points that just make absolutely no sense. But Dan Crenshaw is wrong. He fundamentally misunderstands what populism actually is. It's the popular mandate from the vast majority of the people. The establishment in this country has run this country for a very long time. And currently, right, Cenk Uygur doesn't believe this, and this is where I disagree with Cenk Uygur, that the establishment in the Republican Party is going away, as a matter of fact. They are being slowly pushed out. And Cenk Uygur doesn't like this because the left-wing populism in this country, the establishment on the left wing, they're still there. They're still going strong. That's what the mandate in this was. Populism against the establishment. Kamala Harris was representing the establishment. Tim Walz was representing the establishment. Joe Biden is an establishment politician. He chose Kamala Harris, making her an establishment politician. She is there to toe the line. She proved outright that her campaign was more about the donors that were donating to them and voting for their interests versus voting for the interests of the American people. That was blatant. That was very apparent. We couldn't get anything out of Kamala Harris, and all she did was, oh, look who endorsed me. I mean, Dick Cheney, for crying out loud, was endorsing Kamala Harris. And she was like, I'm proud to accept his endorsement. I'm proud to have Dick Cheney endorsing me. That's absurd. But this little section continues, and we're going to dig a little bit deeper into that. Let's keep going.
Just lie to people. They bribe them with their votes. That was the Kamala Harris campaign slogan. We're going to give you $25,000 if you buy a new house. We're going to forgive your student loan debts. We're going to double the child tax credit, which was a Republican idea, by the way. Like, we're just going to bribe you if you just vote for me. And you know what? Nothing in your life is your fault. It's always somebody else's fault. You're the victim because of your skin color or gender. You're the victim. And people are so tired of hearing that. I speak to a lot of high schools. And when I bring up wokeism, when I bring up this victimhood ideology, that's actually what riles these kids up, which makes me really happy. It shows me that we're on a good track in America. They are sick of hearing this kind of stuff. That's what populism is. Now, maybe you have a different definition of it. You say it's against the elites, it's against the establishment. We need to be very clear about something. The Democrat Party does indeed have an establishment. You are correct about that. Nancy Pelosi orchestrated the downfall of Biden. That establishment orchestrated the insertion of Kamala Harris without any vote whatsoever. That's all true. But you cannot tell me there's an establishment in the Republican Party. There simply isn't. There hasn't been for a very long time. I'll do a quick thought experiment and prove it. Well, I'll do a quick thought experiment and prove it to you. Stop laughing. It's annoying. So here's the thought experiment. I'm running in my primary.
You're it. Look in the mirror.
I can do one of two things. I can say I'm bucking the establishment or I'm for the establishment. Which one is going to get me more votes? Obviously, bucking the establishment gets me more votes. So that negates the existence of any establishment. When 4% of our conference could take down our Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, we don't have an establishment. We don't have that unifying establishment. We never have. Like, what's the address for this establishment? How are they funded? Who are they? Who are these dark, murky people running things and using their little puppet strings to control everybody? It's not true. It's not true.
Now, that's just wrong. He's just totally wrong. The Republican Party does still have an establishment. The majority of Republican senators are establishment Republicans. There is a lot of establishment Republicans in the House, as a matter of fact. His thought experiment just proved him to be an establishment Republican. He just said he's going to go out there, oh, if I'm bucking the establishment, I'm going to get more votes. Yes, this is what establishment politicians do. They go out there and they lie to their constituency, and they lie and say that, oh, we're against the establishment, and then they go in and their voting record is for more spending and all this garbage that the people don't want. They get into Congress and they listen to the lobby interests, for crying out loud, and they vote with the interests of the lobby. His little thought experiment, oh, if we can get Kevin McCarthy out of there, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, one person decided we don't want Kevin McCarthy. He's an establishment Republican. And then what do? We vote in another establishment Republican who we thought wasn't an establishment Republican, but come to find out, they bring him into a debriefing room, into a SCIF, a secured room, so they can get intelligence information, and they come back out, and he's like, oh, yes, the establishment is correct. And he instantly goes the other direction. So he was never a populist candidate, right? You would vote against sending money to Ukraine. You would vote against sending money to Israel. Voting against foreign intervention militarily, at least. You vote against more government spending. That's the populist movement. Cenk Uygur is totally correct. And once again, Dan Crenshaw proves himself to be an establishment politician by giving the game away to everybody. This is what he's going to do. He knows that if he goes out there and he just toes the establishment line when he's campaigning to his constituency, then he's not going to get voted in because the people don't like the establishment, for crying out loud. Of course, some people probably do, all for decorum and all this other stuff, but bucking the system is what the people are on about right now. This country has been run far too long by the establishment, and people are sick and freaking tired of it, right? The Bernie Sanders movement was great, and it showed the establishment in the Democrat Party is strong, y'all. It's very strong. Because Bernie Sanders should have been the person running against Donald Trump. And I think we may have had a very different outcome if that was the case. I do. I really think we may have. Because a lot of those voters went to Trump because Trump was a populist. This goes to show you the populist movement in this country. That Democrat populists would rather vote for the Republican versus their own party's establishment. I think that proves that case outright, that the populist movement in this country is going to be the next establishment, if you will. And that's the problem with populism, is once you get that populist mandate coming into the establishment and taking over the establishment, that becomes the establishment. Let's keep going.
And so the populism is a left-wing ideology that has infected some of the right. And yes, Donald Trump is going to do things that are pro-growth because populist tendencies tend to be anti-growth. They tend to be anti-free market. And that's bad for your children and your children's children. So let's on that real quick. And I already forgot what Pierce's question actually was. Oh,
it was really about. I'll tell you what it was, Dan. It was about unity and whether Trump has it in him to unify the country, given how divisive he is.
And look,
but notwithstanding that, how big the win is, he's got a chance.
Well, I'm hopeful on that for a few reasons. One, right? Trump has had this chip on his shoulder for years after the 2020 election. And you know, we all know what that's about. But he's no longer running for re-election, and he had a really clean sweep. That matters a lot to the man's psyche. Another thing, he cares about his legacy. Now he doesn't have to worry about re-election. He cares more than anything else about legacy. And for him, that means America is the best at every metric that you can imagine. So, look, we have 4 years of Trump already. He didn't govern as a fascist. And I'd love to hear what your definition of fascism is. I mean, is it packing the Supreme Court? Is it doing away with the filibuster? So, by the way, are Democrats still in favor of those things? Are Democrats still now in favor of doing away with the filibuster and packing the Supreme Court? I'm just curious. Or are those now not part of the Democrat platform? Because those are fascistic tendencies as well, this authoritarian tendencies.
You know, he makes a really good point right there at the end. You know, are the Democrats still in favor of getting rid of the filibuster like they wanted to do to get in this abortion mandate? For some reason, I don't understand that. Are they still in favor of packing the Supreme Court now that there's a Republican president who is going to decide who serves on the Supreme Court? Yeah, I don't think so. We've got the majority in the Senate. So, yeah, any confirmation process is going to be pretty much a clean sweep. We're going to get these people through. And now Clarence Thomas can retire in peace. Alito can retire in peace. And these people will be replaced with much more populist, if you will, Supreme Court justices. That is right. This next 4 years is going to be great, great, great. But we got another little section in this debate. Let's check that out right quick, y'all.
So let me ask you something. Let's ask Vinny.
Bernie Sanders isn't a multimillionaire who takes donor money?
Yeah. Okay, Vinny. Do you think that the donor money is? Do you agree with Dan? Do you think Dan? Do you agree with Dan that the donor money is irrelevant? They don't serve the donors at all. There are no establishment Republicans. We're all making it up. And golly gee, even Trump shouldn't have gone in a populist direction. And this is all wrong. And they should just serve the donors. And we're all imagining it. Vinny, you're on the right. What do you think?
Nobody's serving donors.
I agree.
Incentive structures are not. I think your incentive structures.
Hey, it's not your turn, Dan. Let Vinny
totally different than mine.
Yeah, hold on, just real quick. Dan, just to clarify.
I can't see anybody. How are we supposed to know?
Well, Dan, just to clarify, I am a United States Air Force veteran as well, so I didn't serve in combat, but I am a veteran. So my brother, my sister. But that's besides the point. And I do agree with Cenk. You cannot say that there's no establishment. There's establishment left and there's establishment right. And for all these people taking donor money, you are the establishment. Donald Trump is a beast because he didn't need anybody's money. And to go back to Kristen's point, when she mentions Mattis and Kelly,
are you guys high right now?
No, I'm actually very sober.
Like, he's taken a ton of donor money. He's taken a ton of donor money. Every single one does, including your favorite Bernie Sanders, including Donald Trump. You guys can't just make up facts
right now. Not corporate money like you.
And then do single variable analysis about.
That's a fact.
And you can't just do single variable analysis.
He literally doesn't take corporate PAC money.
Donor money equals corruption.
All right, let me look. I think we're getting in.
Can I actually?
You gotta love that. You gotta love that Dan Crenshaw being put in his place. You notice. This is why I say Dan Crenshaw is an establishment Republican. It's because Vinny comes in and makes a very good point. Donald Trump didn't need that donation money, didn't need that donor dollars, if you will. He did use it, sure, but he's not voting in the interests of his donors. His donors were donating to him, backing his interests, which is making America great again. This is something that Cenk Uygur doesn't seem to understand either. That, yeah, we don't like the establishment over here on the Republican side either. And we are currently sweeping clean of the establishment out of the Republican Party. We are trying to get rid of the rhinos, Republicans in name only. That's who we consider the establishment. They're secret Democrats, right? They're very secret Democrats because they vote in the interests of their donors. Right? That is not what Trump is doing. And Dan Crenshaw's argument to that is, what do you mean Donald Trump didn't take donor money? Of course he did. Yes, he did. But he is not voting in the interests of his donors, is he? His agenda has nothing to do with his donors at all, whatsoever. And that is the point. That is what Donald Trump is all about. The popular mandate. We look at this dude. He doesn't need those donor dollars. That's why we look at the guy and like, yeah, he's not voting in their interests. He's going to lead by what interests the American people, or at least the Republicans, for the most part. What's common sense. That's how Donald Trump is going to lead. That is what is going to be his mandate for the country. That's how he is going to run this country. Is whatever is interest of making this country better, making this country more prosperous, more safe, more opportunistic, if you will, right? Donald Trump's economy has proven to be great, has proven to be one of the best economies in this country's history, right? Democrats had to lie to everybody to say, oh, our economy's doing fine. Look at the stock market. As if people are only surface level thinkers. Well, of course, some are, but people can look at other things beside the stock market, right? Like the average everyday person doesn't give a damn about the stock market. What they think about when they think of the economy is when they go to the grocery store and they see how much the price of eggs, how much the price of butter is, how much it is when you go to McDonald's and you see that there's no longer a freaking dollar menu. Everything is $2 and $3 and $4 on the dollar menu. That's what people see. People see that wages haven't come up, right? Anecdotally, I have only had, personally, a 0.6% raise in the past 3 years. 0.6% versus during Donald Trump's presidency, it was more like 8%. Yes, 8% over those 4 years. 8%. Now prices have come up 30%. This is what the people are voting on, and this is something that's innate to Donald Trump. He seems to understand this. He seems to understand that people are hurting right now. It's not just Biden bad, Democrats bad. It's their policies are bad, and we're going to overturn those policies. They have made our country less prosperous, less safe, and that's Donald Trump's main focus on making us more prosperous and more safe. We are being viewed upon from the world right now as weak and ineffectual, because that is what we have projected. That is what the Biden administration has projected. Oh, the adults are back. That's what they said. Have they proven that to be reality? No, they haven't. They have only proven that the establishment doesn't care about anything that the citizenry cares about. Do not care whatsoever. And that's what this election was all about, is bucking that establishment, getting rid of that establishment, and hopefully Donald Trump comes in and cleans house. As a matter of fact, I really, really can't wait to see these budget projections. I really can't wait to see this, because it's going to be a while, y'all. It's going to be a while, because the 2025, or at least fiscal 2025 budgets have already come in, and that was voted on by. So it's going to be a pretty good little while before we actually get to see what Trump is going to bring to the table as far as the budget, because currently we're spending in a $1.8 trillion deficit. That is absurd. And guess what, folks? Yeah, Republicans and Democrats alike both voted for that. They voted yes, instead of saying no, instead of telling these people this is absurd. $1.8 trillion deficit spending. Now, to be fair, Donald Trump under his presidency had a $984 billion, I think it was, $984 billion deficit. That's what his spending was, which is also absurd. But what does Joe Biden do when he comes in? Increases that to 1.5. That's insane. That is outright insane. And the American people are smart enough to be able to see that, yeah, we can't continue this trend. Our national debt is $36 trillion. That's obscene, as a matter of fact. And we're not doing anything to pay this off, because for some reason the establishment thinks that modern monetary theory, we can just print our way into prosperity. No, you can't just continually raise the debt ceiling, for goodness sakes. If the average everyday person can't continually raise their credit limit, then the American government should not be able to do that either. And this is why Jerome Powell needs to go. I think we need to get him out of there. I think we need to shut down the Federal Reserve outright. They have done nothing but damage this country, I believe, by controlling the currency in this country. You know, Saudi Arabia, they got out of the petrodollar deal. That means we got some problems now. I don't know if Donald Trump will be able to put that deal back into place, but that was partly the reason that we were so prosperous, is because other countries, pretty much the entire world, if they wanted to buy oil, they had to buy American dollars to do so. Getting rid of that deal is very, very bad for this country. Very bad for this country. And Donald Trump is the man, if anybody will be able to put that deal back into place and get back the petrodollar, which I understand. I know that's not necessarily the best thing, but however, until we get manufacturing back to this country, until we can export something other than democracy, for crying out loud. If he can turn up the tap on oil production, right, whilst at the same time reducing pollution, I think we will have prosperity beyond belief in this country. If he can get back that petrodollar, turn that up, turn up oil production, and turn down pollution to our atmosphere, he would do two things. One, make us a lot more prosperous, and two, prove to all these climate agenda religious zealots out there that yes, Republicans also think about the environment, for crying out loud, and that yes, innovating our way through climate change is how you fix climate change, not knocking us back 200 years technologically to where we're back in the mid 1800s, for crying out loud, to where we don't have electricity unless you have enough money to afford solar panels, for goodness sakes, because wind farms don't work. We need to be able to tap into geothermal, which is currently unavailable to us right now. As a matter of fact, for the most part. For the most part. But I think that's something that needs to be subsidized. Research into geothermal. Because if we can drill into the earth and produce steam to produce electricity from the heat from the center of the earth, that will sustain our society for years and years and years. For generations, thousands of years. It's going to take billions of years for the core of our planet to cool off. That is right, if it will ever cool off. Because, in 5 billion years, the sun's going to expand and engulf the earth, probably. There's a slim chance that the expansion of the sun, I know we're getting off into astrophysics now, the expansion of the sun will, the loss of all that material will reduce the gravitational pull on Earth and allow its orbit to grow a little bit, relieving us from that engulfment from the sun. But life will no longer be sustainable on this planet come 1 billion years from now. So we have at least 1 billion years to think about this. That's right, if we have that long, to say the least. But I think I've made my point clear. Y'all let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comment section. Are we eliminating the establishment in the Republican Party? I think we're doing a better job than the Democrats, that's for damn sure. But y'all let me know what y'all think. That's all I got for this one, y'all. Hope y'all enjoyed the video. I want to thank everybody for watching. You guys don't forget to smash that like button on your way out. Share this video anywhere and everywhere you can. I would greatly appreciate it. And y'all try to have a good day and stay legitical. Peace.